Calls for a ceasefire in Gaza have dominated political conversations globally and here at home in Minnesota for months. After the brutal Hamas killings in Israel on October 7th, and the counter-campaign in Gaza continues to make a humanitarian crisis worse for Palestinians by the day. Despite President Biden's optimism for a temporary halt in fighting next week, if it isn't a permanent call for a ceasefire, it is not enough for many in our Arab American community. So much so that many have started a campaign, and first off tonight in Michigan's primary, to say no to Joe Biden and vote uncommitted. And that same idea is being pushed here for our primary next week. John Croman is going to talk about how this push is starting to play out, just announced yesterday in Minnesota.
Well, you know, Jana, President Biden is expected to win Minnesota easily. In fact, opponents here have to get at least 15% of the vote to get any convention delegates. But we will be watching closely what percentage of Minnesota Democrats decide to use their ballot to make a statement about Gaza.
The war in Gaza may seem completely beyond the control of everyday Minnesotans, but there's a movement afoot to make it part of the presidential preference primary here, Super Tuesday.
But we're very hopeful that many people who are going to come out because they want to send a strong message to President Biden. And that message is, this war is untenable.
If you vote in the Democratic presidential primary, you'll see one of the choices on the ballot is uncommitted. It's there to give you the power to send uncommitted delegates to a national convention. But on Super Tuesday, supporters of a ceasefire in Gaza are asking fellow Democrats to use that uncommitted vote to pressure President Biden.
What we are doing right now is to stop the loss of human life. And the only way we can do that is to get a permanent ceasefire. And we're doing that by voting uncommitted next Tuesday.
I haven't talked to a single constituent of any background who is okay with the devastation, who wants this to keep going unfettered, and who supports just an ongoing war with American unconditional aid.
St. Paul City Council President Mitra Jalali supports the president on many matters, but backs this vote uncommitted movement.
My communities don't have the luxury of none of this matters. They don't. But we also don't have the privilege of, one is better than the other, and that's automatically good enough for all of us.
When asked about the uncommitted movement, DFL Party Chair Ken Martin urged Democrats to keep their eyes on November.
While there may be differences of opinion with President Biden on certain issues, I would encourage folks, not only in the Muslim community, but in other communities who might have concerns, to remember the stakes of this election in November. They're tremendous. And there is a deep, deep difference between President Biden and Donald Trump as it comes to issues like this.
Can you give us a sense of when you think that ceasefire will start, sir?
Well, I hope by the beginning of the weekend. The end of the weekend. At least my national security advisor tells me that we're close. We're close. It's not done yet. And my hope is by next Monday, we'll have a ceasefire.
Things aren't moving fast enough for those watching the humanitarian crisis unfold in that part of the world.
We're seeing people all over the country say that we want our president to do better. We were all in for Biden, so many of us. And this is the only way our democracy allows us to hold him accountable.
Now, supporters hope a strong, uncommitted showing in Michigan will build momentum in all the other Super Tuesday states, including Minnesota. Now, some American Muslims have joined the Abandon Biden campaign, but Mitra Jalali says that she wants Democrats to stay in the fold, even if they do use their ballot, Jana, to send a wake-up call to the president.
And those Michigan's results will be shown basically to the world and to the Biden team pretty soon. The polls close in a half an hour, right?
That's true. Pretty soon here.
Okay, thanks so much, John Croman.